All right, Brand Baby. So I get a special guest today, all the way across the pond. I'm guessing you're across the pond. But oh my goodness, Coach Kym. Now, here's something good I get to do because I don't know a whole lot about Coach Kym other than I love her and I think she's just fucking magical. So you guys get to learn what I learned and we get to enjoy her together. So give me a minute and we're gonna get it together and then we're gonna let her introduce herself. So
Hey, brand babies. This is Brandma's podcast, where we go in on personal branding without taking shit personally. Brandma's house is hosted by none other than the ghetto country grandmother. She's here to share her experience, expertise, and education in a way that takes you from brand baby to brand leader. So come on in and hold on to your bourbon because Brandma's about to spill the tea.
So come on, hey brand babies, we got shit to do today, and we talking to Coach Kym, and I'm gonna let her introduce herself because I know it's a whole lot of goodness in there that I cannot unpack. So I'm gonna let her unpack it herself. Come on, Coach Kym.
First up, can we talk about the fact you've invited me on a podcast and you have no idea what's about to happen?
I do not, and I love it. It's like, man, let the shit fall where. What is it?
I love this.
Yes,
I
yes.
love this. Thank you for having me. I am Coach Kym. I am based in the UK. So I am in the east of the UK, but grew up in London. And I am, as my name states and it says on the tin, I am a coach. And I work with small business owners, but primarily people in consulting spaces to essentially do great business and build phenomenal businesses despite the world telling them they can't do that. So I am essentially the person you come to when you're ready to go against the grain. So I feel like I'm in like the best company right now. Like this feels just like the ultimate hub because I too I'm relatively new to Brandma's world. But if there's one thing I know about Brandma is that she's about to do things against the grain. So yes. I'm here for it. I'm all for it. Let's go.
Let's go. So, sweetie, what made you decide to go after the small businesses? Because I know why I do it, but why did you do it?
As with most people, I suspect it happens by accident. So you don't mean to do this, but here's where we end up. And so I have a very long and convoluted story, but in short, I ran my own business for a few years and realized that I hated running my own business, but really enjoyed helping others run theirs. And so I knew that I wanted to help people in small business spaces because I'd actually come from quite a large corporate space. And not to say that I have a corporate background, technically I don't. My corporate experience is a bit strange. I'm sure we'll get into that. But ultimately, I was using what I'd learned from my corporate experience to build my own business. I recognized that in areas there were crossovers and in areas that, you know, they were completely different. And from deciding to close my own business and go into coaching full time, I realized that I just, you know, I loved the stage of starting, growing, building a business. And then I loved waving people off, you know, watching them fly the nest and saying, you got everything you need, go. You know, you're like that parent who's just watching their kid on the bicycle, taking the training wheels off. Best feeling in the world. I wanted more of that feeling. And so that's why I essentially coach the business owners that I do.
So it's crazy because you keep saying I closed the business as if what you do is not a business.
Right.
What kind of shit is that?
You know, this is interesting because ultimately I don't really see it as a business. If you ask me, Coach Kym, you know, like, what is it that you love about business, or what is it? And I'll tell you, I don't really do business. Business isn't what I do. It just so happens that the thing that I adore happens to pay for me and my family to live, and it's just the perfect setup. You know, back when I was running my own business, that was hard, you know, and I understand the complexities and the difficulties that people have when they're running their own business. And I understand that it becomes something that is separate from who you are. You've tried to find ways to set boundaries. You want to make sure that we do business here and it's personal here. And I've got to a point now, especially with my coaching, whereby the boundaries are a little more blurred because I really, really love what I do. Like, I love the clients that I work with. I love spending time with them. There's times when I will spend time, I'll be on, working with a client on a project. It will be midnight and I will be overjoyed to be part of it because it's just the thing that I love doing. So it doesn't feel like I shut up shop at any moment. It doesn't feel like I'm in a business in the sense that I can separate myself from it as such, because I just
Wow.
enjoy being there.
Now you cross both my worlds because I feel the exact same way. But because how I got into personal branding in the first place in my original business, I had the blurred lines. But it was more out of desperation to be successful than it was in me enjoying what I did. Because I went into this business because my food is my husband's love language. Sweetie, all these extra pounds is just a whole lot of love. That's all it is. But it was the not being able to separate myself and to not being, oh, I was like, I talk about empathic bitch and petty bitch. I was crazy bitch when I was in that mode. And everybody always, they only addressed me as, hey, Mrs. Mister. It's like,
Mm,
do I not have a name? Do I not have a person? It was that, or I was Morgan's mom or Helen's daughter and all of these different things. And this, where am I? So
yeah.
you know what? Since Mrs. Mister got all the recognition, she got all of me. And so when I went out and did this thing, because trust me, it's like you said, I kind of fell into this. Somebody said, "Oh, Phyllis will do personal branding." I'm like, I don't do personal branding, but the way they construed what I do, I'm like, hey, I can roll with that because I prefer to work with people. I'm not trying to build business brands, but I want to make sure that you're aligned with your business brand. And
Yeah.
so I get the whole blur thing because if Neil will let me work till whenever, my clients call me at 4 o'clock in the morning. Okay, baby, what you want?
Yeah.
So I'm still in that mode, but
Yeah.
then when I take it off, when I stop being GCB, I'm
Yeah.
done. I'm
Done. Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
So that's the part I no longer blur.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I tell my clients when I'm on a call, I'm like, if my daughter comes to the door in emergency, y'all know I'm done, right?
Right.
Period. Because
Yeah.
I don't stop being a mother, I don't stop being a wife, but the only way they can disrupt me is if it's an emergency mode.
Same
That's
thing.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I have, my son is 12 years old now. So it's, there's one of the reasons why I love the thing that I do is because my clients also understand that I'm a mother.
Mhm.
A lot of my clients are also parents. And so we have this understanding whereby it's like, okay, if the school comes calling or something happens, I'm out, like everything's canceled. Everything is shut down. There's
Mhm.
no question. I'll get back to you and we'll rebook at some point. But for now, there's one focus, and that is my son, or that is
Yeah.
my family.
Yes, yes. So how do you, if you don't separate the two and there is that blur, how do you fall into, and I say fall into because sometimes we just have to switch gears that quickly. It's more like we trip into it. But how do you just have those moments where you're just Kim? When does that space take place?
That's a great question. When does that happen? My identity has become so wrapped up in being a coach that even my own family almost see me as, and that's a problem in and of itself, because they're like, Kim, I got this thing going on, and I'm like, yeah, rule number one, I will not coach family. Rule number one, there's no way in hell I'm coaching you guys, so forget about it. I'll refer you, I got people, talk to them, not coaching family. But there are moments whereby I realize that I have to be mum, or I have to be, a mother, a wife, family member in that sense. And I am able to switch it off. But if you're anything like me, you'll probably recognize that even when you're switched off, unless there's something pulling focus family wise, i.e., you need to be there for your child or something's happened, the cogs are still turning. Like, you're still thinking about, oh, I just had this great
Don't
idea.
tell.
Oh yeah, right. I'm driving down the highway and I'm like, oh, like I'm on my way to, like, I don't know, football practice with my son, and I'm like,
Oh
oh,
God.
great idea. Like, I've just thought of something, and it's like, that's not where you should be right now, mom. Like, it's like, I guess I'm there. I'm really in it. So I mean, I like to think that I like to recently. I have tried, and I'm trying really hard, that after 10 p.m. every day, I try and switch off from being a coach, and I try and do things that are quote unquote normal,
Mhm.
including things like, reading. I love to read, but for the past, I don't know, 15 to 20 years of my life, all I've read is nonfiction. If it's not business focused, if it's not self-help focused, I'm not reading it. Right. But as a child,
Talking about me.
right? That's it. But if you try and read a fiction book, immediately I'm like, I'm feeling really good. I like the fiction book, but I'm like, no, right now I really should be trying to get through the next blah, 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 whatever it is. And so now I've said, you're only allowed to read fiction. You have to start watching Netflix. You got to chill out with the family. Our family, we're a board game family. So if there's any opportunity to play board games, like at the weekends and things like that with my son, he loves a board game. We'll play board games and we'll hang out and we'll watch movies and things like that. And again, the coach wheels are still turning, but gradually I'm learning to be ever more present with my family, because I know how important that is and I know how powerful it is. But man, it's such a hard thing to do when you're so integrated in what it is that you love to do.
Yeah.
You know?
And another hard part for me is that I own the fact that I'm a workaholic. I don't think being a workaholic is a bad thing when you're doing something that you really enjoy.
Yeah.
But it's the moments of, it's literally guilty pleasure. Like what you're talking about is guilty pleasure. And it's like, okay, I want to go spend time with my daughter. We need to go get a pedicure. And it takes everything that I have in me not to get on my iPad and like, okay, let me finish this blog and let me finish this thing. And so I understand it, but I look at it as a guilty pleasure, but I don't want to feel guilty, but I do. Because I feel like, you know what? You could be doing this and you could be doing that. And this is still on your plate in the morning. But as soon as you take something off your plate, you got something else that you put back on it, and it's just batshit crazy.
That's it. It's remembering that no matter how much you take off that plate, the plate is never empty. So it doesn't matter whether you do it tonight, you do it tomorrow morning. The time that, of course, we have with our family, we have with our children, that's finite. The work, it's never going to stop.
No. And I think I'm at the age now, because I had my daughter when I was 42. So I'm straight late bloomer and all that kind of stuff, mom. But I have a 16-year-old now. And she don't give a shit if I'm in the room or not.
Yeah.
But she will bust in here like she's like, Mom, I'm having trauma. Oh my God. I just saw that. And I have to listen to some crazy TikTok nonsense. And it's like, okay, do you need medication? She's like, oh, it's so much drama. Is like,
Yeah.
wow, are we
Yeah.
really doing this? She said, yes, yes. But it's like, I enjoy those moments, but it does not wreck my flow.
Mm-hmm.
It does not wreck my flow. And when I wrote balance is bullshit. And this is because that's not balance.
Yeah.
I don't care how much you talk about work-life balance, sweetie. I'm not analytical. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm anal about balance. And if you're gonna say balance, that means I have to cut my life into 16 pieces or however many pieces, or everything gets an equal part. That does not happen. Hell,
Mm-hmm.
my husband doesn't even get as much time as my daughter. My daughter doesn't get as much time as I do. And there's all these things. So saying that is balance because I get to spend more time with her, that's not balance to me, because I'm stressing out because I'm not working.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, there is no work-life balance. There is only life.
Yeah.
We just need to live, and work happens to be part of that, but there will never be balance. And I think those who are chasing balance, they're running a never-ending race. I don't think you can ever find it, and I don't think you should ever look for it. I think you should find what feels fulfilling to you. My son recognizes that the work that I do is something I love. And I think he enjoys seeing that I found a career that I love. It's not mommy goes to work and she comes home and she hates it. Mommy gets off the phone and she's really excited about the people that she gets to talk to. And that's inspiring. I hope I have a job like mommy one day.
Yeah.
And so I like the fact that in some ways I'm sort of setting a standard for my son, in saying, look, you can love what it is that you do, and you should look to love what it is that you do. But the idea of priority and prioritizing and setting those sort of expectations, in a sense, so my son knows when I'm on a call, I'm on a call. I have a little thing on my door that says, don't disturb mummy, she's on a call.
Mhm.
He knows that, and he'll know to wait. He's going to ask me for a cookie. He'll wait until the top of the hour to ask me for a cookie, you know, and it's that kind of thing. We have that setup, which works really well. At least I think it does. Ask me again in a couple of years. Mom, you were never there. But you know, there's kind of like, it's not about achieving any sort of balance. It's about setting the right expectations. Everybody knows, you know, when I'm there, and when I'm not, and everyone's okay. Everyone seems okay. So
Everybody is alive. Because it's the thing, if you want me to go somewhere, ask me. And my husband knows what to ask me to attend and what not to attend. Because if you're going to a football game, did you seriously just open your mouth and ask me that? I am not that one. Take your child and get on out of here. But if it's like, okay, we're going to the movies. And I tell people, like, even the crazy stuff, my husband is the head of the house. That doesn't mean I always listen to him. But there are times when he say the family's going to the movies, I'm getting my ass up and I'm going to the movies.
Yeah.
And I have to restructure my day.
Yeah.
So it's that type of thing. When I talk about the juggle of it all, I'm cool with juggling because, like you said, I love what it is that I do. How long have you been doing this? How long have you been coaching?
Unofficially, I would say now for about 12 years.
Okay, so right around the time your son was getting
Yeah.
into the world.
Yeah. Officially, I've been coaching for 5 years. No, 6 years now. It's 2024. And so, yeah, I left one career. So I had my career in entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
I retired from my career in entertainment, had my son, and then realized that I don't love being a mum in that sense. Motherhood wasn't quite what I thought it might be. I really thought I'd fulfilled this moment in my career, and I thought I can stop that. I can become a mum. I'll change my entire identity. I'll stay home. I'll bake cookies. We're going to be great. And it wasn't that. Like, it was just like, what the hell? I became a mum. What the hell just happened? Right. And so I completely had this like barrel turn happen where I fell into a very deep depression,
Oh,
a
wow.
very deep postnatal depression, because sort of my therapist and I worked it all out, but they realized it was because I'd essentially lost my identity. I went from being almost sort of top dog in the industry I was in, and to go to mother who technically lives in the east of England. It's quite rural here. I live in a very sort of tiny sort of chocolate box sort of town, coming from the big city. I'd moved from London as well, so I moved from the big city. All of these changes had happened, and that wasn't who I really was. I just kind of hoped if I put on an apron, everything else would fall into place. I'd be the perfect homemaker, and I wasn't. And so that really took it out of me, you know, and I ended up going into business because of that, because I just needed a new identity. And I set up a business, again, completely accidentally, and ended up building this business from my kitchen table, to a business that had sort of, 12 team members and turning over, almost $700,000 a year. Just kind of sitting there going on my laptop like, oh, this works, I can do this is easy, fine, fair enough, and having the baby in the corner just on the little bouncer thing. But I realized there was a sense of fulfillment because now I could kind of, I woke up, there was more purpose. Yes, I was a mom, but there was this secondary purpose I was looking for. And as I said, I started that business out of desperation. I was looking for something maybe, and I ended up hating that business. To everybody else, they saw it and they were like, whoa, Kym, I won awards for that business. They were like, we can't believe how quickly you've grown this business, how amazing it is. And all I could think was, I want to close it down now. I do not want this business anymore. This is horrible. This isn't what I signed up for. I hated running it. And so but a lot of people would say to me, Kym, how did you do that? Like, how did you manage to get clients like that? And how did you manage to set up the operations like that? And I'd be like, oh, well, we did this and I did that. And they'd say, I'm running a business. Can you? And I'm like, sure, I'll show you. Like, yeah, I'll take you through the process that I did. And then it led to me being quite curious and asking questions and that sort of thing. And then someone said to me, as I was hating the business, I was talking to a friend, and she said to me, do you have a coach? And I said, I don't have a coach. And she said, maybe you need a coach. And I was like, I don't think I need a coach. I think that sounds like a bad idea. She says, we're going to give you a number for a friend. Talk to this guy, see what you think. And I had a conversation with this guy and I told him, like, this is what's going on for me. Like, whole thing, I hate the whole thing. And he was like, you know what it sounds like? And I was like, what? He says, sounds like you're a coach. And I was like, me? A coach? And he's like, you are coaching people right now. He says, do you charge $40? I was like, no, don't be silly. I get like, business
Yeah.
advice and guidance and support from me because I just love what I do. And he's like, and that's kind of where the whole thing kind of fell. And I was like, wait, so you can have a job just giving guidance and support and advice to business owners? Like, I don't actually have to run the business myself. He was like, yes. And I was like, oh, tell me about this.
Yeah.
This is interesting. And so here I am.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here and I'm laughing to myself because we have such similar stories. And I I actually I left our business because I wanted to be a coach and found my way into branding because one of the certifications that I was getting, because I wanted to be a master coach.
Mm-hmm.
And so you had to take 10 different certifications. And the one I fell into was branding.
Mm.
And it was like, wow. I tell people now, I look back and I can see how many millions we left on the table in my previous business.
Yeah.
And it's not that I want to go back and pick them up. Trust and believe, I'm not trying to go back to a restaurant. But
Same.
I can now see, but then
Yeah.
it's the same thing where, you know what, I get to touch all of these different businesses and I don't have to take any of them home.
Yeah.
Not a one.
What a feeling. Oh, that is the best.
Yes. That is that part. Now,
Yeah.
you know what I do. I don't know if you know what I do, but yes, I focus on personal branding.
Mhm.
And I disagree with a lot of the stuff that's out there. I don't believe people are brands.
Mm.
And that is a really big thing to me. I don't believe that you have to put your life on display in
Mm-hmm.
order to have a personal brand.
Yeah.
I also, the reason I believe in giving a personal brand a name is so when we have those blurred lines, people think I'm crazy when I say I have to talk to the ghetto country grandma or the ghetto country grandmother has to talk to Phyllis. So we both stay in our lane.
Yeah.
But it gives me that level of boundaries for myself.
Yeah.
And when I'm talking to people, because I make sure you understand the distinction between empathic bitch and petty bitch. This
Mm-hmm.
this one over here is personal. This one over here is business. Cause sweetie, I'm gonna love on you, but we probably gonna have to fight for some shit. And so, so but it's what do you think about personal branding in and of itself?
Personal branding has been sort of part of my life for as long as I can remember. See, when I was a kid, I was 11 years old, and I started doing dance lessons in a local like youth and community center. So street dance sessions, hip hop sessions, that sort of thing.
All right, Miss Kim.
Uh, and when I went there, I always I tell people I was a terrible dancer, like world's worst dancer by far. I was taller than all the other kids. I was wider than all the other kids. Like I stuck out like a sore thumb all the time. And one of the reasons why I kept going back, even though I kept getting it wrong, was that sense of community and that sense of family and that sense of camaraderie that came with being part of that crew. I wasn't particularly, outgoing at school. I was relatively shy. I wasn't outspoken. I would hide if I possibly could. I was very academic at school. My father demanded that I was academic at school. And so I didn't build the relationships like everybody else did. I didn't build the friendship groups. But in this dance class, I built these friendship groups. And the guy that led the class for us, he also was like a youth and community worker who just so happened to dance, right? He wasn't a qualified dance teacher or anything like that. And I remember him saying to us when we were 11 or 12, we're in this crew, right? And he's like, if we've got a crew, we need a name. And if we need a name, you each need crew names. And one girl was like, well, why can't I just be like Claire? Why do I have to have a name? And he was like, because one day, he said, you're going to be famous. He said, and you're going to need to be able to separate Claire from onstage Claire. So offstage Claire and onstage Claire are two completely different people.
Yeah.
We were 12 years old. We were like, what? What does that even mean? But anyway, we all got given, like we all created these names as such, because these were our performer names, our stage names.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize at the time that what he was doing, and I don't even think he knows, not even to this day, because he's no longer involved in that whatsoever, that what he was talking about was personal branding and the idea of separating it and being able to create, two very distinct personas and be okay with it. Both, it doesn't mean that you are one or the other necessarily. Both of them can live equally. And it's about, I think that's the challenge that a lot of people face. It's like, well, if I'm if I'm a brand, if I'm a personal brand, it has to encompass everything about me. It has to be on show. It has to be available. It has to be visible. This is what makes me genuine and authentic. And it's like, oh, no, absolutely
No.
not. Now, of course, both you and I grew up without the internet, right?
Yes.
Right? So before YouTube, before all of the, social media platforms, so we knew what it was like to if you're going to brand yourself. I guess it was to the point whereby, that you weren't going to become an influencer or anything like that overnight.
Yeah.
That wasn't what it, isn't what it is. Nowadays, I think everybody just assumes that in order to make it big, you must be able to influence. And that's not the case. Being an influencer and pretty much everything else, two completely different things.
Yes.
I have clients come to me and they say, hey, I'm an influencer. And I'll say to them, I'm not. I probably can't help you. I understand the business model, but ultimately what you're driving towards is the thing I'm driving against.
Yeah.
When I work with my clients and we build our bases, our foundations, our audiences, our communities, we do it person to person. It's not en masse. It's not one to many. The whole reason why the thing that I do work so well, and what my clients do work so well, is because I teach them how to build really strong relationships that stand the test of time, that go beyond the screen, that mean that you've got a group of people in place who've got your back. Those are the people you want to have around you, not 100,000 followers who have, tomorrow are going to be following somebody else.
Yes.
You need to build those relationships. We can't have these fleeting connections. Fleeting connections will not get you anywhere in business. You must build relationships. But this is a really difficult thing for today's audience, and I say generation, to understand, because as far as they're concerned, you've made it if you've got 1 million followers. Now, I've spoken to people with millions of followers. I've had conversations. They've come to me and asked for coaching and said, Kym, I'm hardly making any money. Like, I'm pretty broke. Sure, I've got millions of followers and so I'm all flossy and glossy on Instagram, but my bank balance is telling me something else. My, the ATM is looking at me sideways right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, right, we need to build some relationships. We need to put some things in place. We need a solid system. If you're going to monetize this audience, you're going to have to really get to know this audience, really understand this audience. And you're going to have to be willing to roll up your sleeves and get this done. And again, you get people who are like, oh, no. I just want to post a thing and then step back. I just want to put a thing out there and then step back. Why doesn't that work? Why can't I just, post a picture of me standing next to somebody else's Ferrari? Why doesn't that work? I'm genuinely standing next to this car. It's not your car. It has nothing to do with who you are. This is the reason why it doesn't work, and so ultimately, I think the line of personal brand has become very skewed because of influencer culture. And it's very different to what it once was. And there are a section of our sort of society who are still doing it the old school way. Who are still, they're picking up the phone, they're having conversations. It's not just an email or an inbox thing. It's like, no, let's talk about this. Let's see how this works, And I think nowadays, when it comes to personal brand, people just think if I make something and it's glossy enough and I put it out in front of people, as long as it sparkles, I'm going to get the attention, right?
Yes.
You're always, and even if you do get the attention, it lasts, it's an overnight
15 minutes and then you're trying to find a new trend.
Exactly. But the thing, and it's so funny because often I get new clients who come to me and I'll put a system or a strategy in place for them in terms of their visibility, right? And it will include building a sort of a sense of authority on a particular platform. So I'll say, choose a platform and we're going to create some content so people can start to understand what it is that you know. Because right now, nobody knows what you know. And it's important that they do before they trust you enough to connect and have a conversation. So I'll say, choose a platform. We're going to post regularly on it. It's going to be, particular type of content. The content has to be meaningful. Don't just post for the sake of it. Think about what it is that you're talking about. It's going to represent you. Think about what you're putting out there. And I always get, oh, but Kym, the smart asses, oh, but Kym, I don't see you posting regularly online. And I'm like, this is very much a do as I say and not as I do. I don't need to post regularly online. It's because I've spent, I don't know how many hours picking up the phone, knocking on doors, talking to people and building relationships. The relationships that I have now sustain an entire business and I'm never online. You don't see me.
I know you're not.
Minimum on there. And even when I decided I am going to try. I'm going to try. Because again, I want to be a good example to my clients. But even then, it's because I don't have to. I just tend not to do it. So I'm just like, no, I'll get around to it. I'll do the YouTube and the LinkedIn, the thing eventually. But I've managed to build a really solid brand that supports a really solid business without ever having to stand next to someone else's Ferrari. And I feel great.
Yeah. And you saying that, it's like people don't realize that. And even though I do personal branding, I don't think everyone needs a personal brand, depending on the structure of your business and the scalability of it. If you're not trying to scale, then you don't need a business or a business or a personal brand. Just go out there, do your thing, you're face to face, you're talking to people, all of that, then go out there and make those relationships. But if you plan on scaling to something bigger than a business of one or even a business of two, then you start thinking about branding. So it's this whole thing of, like, when you're talking about influencers, I tell my clients, why are you hiring influencers instead of being the influencer of your own brand?
Right.
Why do you have to pay someone else to speak up for your shit? And then they're not even speaking of it in the way that you want them to, because you don't know how to tell them about your brand. You can tell them how I sell a product, you can tell them how I do a service. And even with people going out and asking for reviews, yes, reviews are a great thing. If you did business with someone, go write them a review. It's a great thing. But that doesn't necessarily steal. It doesn't get you business, because that's what you did for them. That's not what you do for me.
Right.
And it's all of these different nuances that are involved with how you represent. And because I want to see people, like, my preference is I want to see you scale from a personal brand. And there are people that believe that that's not doable. Sweetie, I did it once and I'm gonna do it again.
Right.
So it's not, it is definitely doable, but you limit yourself because you limit yourself by your name. And then you also don't understand that what you were saying, like, you built this whole relationship behind the scenes that nobody sees. So they think, oh, why aren't you? What? Yeah, stop talking smack. Because if you know whether you're a hunter, a farmer, or a trapper, then you know how you make your money. You know if you have to go out here and create content. So you've been farming the same land for some time, because I know your ass ain't online at all. You just recently followed me on Instagram, and I was shocked and amazed.
Check out Instagram again. I haven't been there in a while.
I just tried to get back on this year too, so don't feel bad.
No, yeah, it's exactly that,
Yeah.
and it's interesting that you said, because even when we talk, if I think about my personal brand, right? My personal brand, I will say, I think is an extension of who I am. You read something written by Coach Kym, you're also getting the same thing from Kimberly Medina. It's, we are one in the same, essentially. But I only launched Coach Kym as a brand name last year, so late last year. And it was interesting because the reason why I did it was to be somewhat obnoxious, in a sense. I heard somebody in the coaching industry, someone who's rather well respected, say, if you're a coach, don't call yourself a coach, because coaches are now synonymous with grifters and influencers who don't know anything about business and all of these things, these life coaches that are going to teach you all this woo stuff. Like, you can't call yourself a coach. If you're a coach, his advice was, make sure you just use your own name. Your personal brand becomes your own name or something completely different. Never call yourself a coach. I saw that and I was like, updated everything. I was like, I am now Coach Kym. And here's why. Because I know I am hella good at what I do. I am a coach. I am a coach through and through. I have been for many years, even if I've not even realized it myself.
Yes.
And so ultimately, the industry can come for me. Like, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm interested in, like, I almost want to create and to antagonize, in a sense, by calling myself a coach, because I'm asking people to call me out. I want them to question, my integrity. I want them to question my background. Please, let's have this conversation, because I'm excited for it, because I'm going to show you what a real coach looks like. I know you all think you know what coaches are. I know that there are coaches out there grifting right now, conning people, like, just giving the coaching industry a bad name. Hundreds of thousands of them. I know there are, but there are some of us who are doing this beautifully. And I will stand for those who coach and do it from a place of genuine wanting to help and wanting to support their clients. I'm not going to fall back because the industry is like full of these, these snake oil salespeople. I'm not going to say, hey, oh no, I'm a coach, but you don't need to know that, because now I'm going to give myself a different name to hide the fact that I'm a coach. Coach Kym. Remember that name. Don't fucking forget it, because I am going to be in your view and you have no idea it's coming. And that's how I feel about the industry now. There was something about it that just got me so riled up. I was like, no, we're not doing this. We're not hiding.
Yeah.
We don't hide. We step forward. When things like this happen in the industry, we step forward. I've never felt a reason to prove myself necessarily, but if anybody comes to me and asks me to do so, heaven help them.
Yeah.
That war.
Girl.
That's why I put the name Coach Kym. That's my brand.
I love it. I love it. And it's like I said, I don't think everyone needs a personal brand. If you want one, sweetie, don't think that you are one. Just know the difference. Know how to separate those two. Like I said, mine is the big difference is when you approach me on the street, because as you get better known, whether it's for your real name or your personal brand, people are going to holler out your name. And if you holler out, hey, Brandma, sweetie, that's all you know about me. You may have seen my husband and my daughter once or twice or something like that. You know that I smoke cigars. You know I drink bourbon.
Yeah.
But that's the extent of your knowledge.
Yeah.
There are certain stories that I share. I shared about my whole days trying to be a mom when I wasn't ready to be a mom, because it leads to me being a grandmother. That's a relevant story to me.
Yes. So
I talked about my dad being a pimp back in the day, but I think branding is a pimp game. So it's all relative to me. Yeah. But when you decide that, you know what, I got to share everything, there is so much that you guys will never know, because there are certain things. My husband, he talked about the other day. He said, there are just certain things I don't want to know about you. See, even my husband don't want to know. Yeah. But people want to sit by and watch a train wreck, and they think that's all fascination. It's all fascination. It's bullshit. It is bullshit to me. Yeah.
And that's part and parcel why I avoid social media. I think I just hate the train wreck of it all. I hate how much is shared or how much people feel they need to share. Yeah. And sure, I understand you want to express yourself and you want to be emotional, emotionally driven, and I want to show the real me. But so with all due respect, I don't have time for that. I can't get caught up in what's going on with your life. As my husband says, I got my own fucking problems. My husband's a New Yorker, so so it's like I can't, and so I just have to completely avoid. So, and that's the reason why you won't find me often on those areas on social, because I just can't be social like that. I don't want to be social. I don't enjoy being social via a platform. Happy to go out and have a drink if I know you. Like if I'd love to meet up and have dinner. I love that stuff. Or even just sit and have a conversation over Zoom if we're across the pond from each other. Fantastic. On social media, no, thanks, but no.
And that is with my clients, one of the things I tell them is like, if you're going to share personal, separate it. Put all of this crazy over here, because not only are you sharing too much that's not relevant, but then you're confusing the algorithm. It's like, and I know I don't buy into the whole algorithm game, trust and believe, but there's enough of it out there that when you start mixing business and pleasure, I'll put it that way, that the algorithm is showing you shit you don't want to see. Like you just said, there's a whole lot that I don't want to see. There's a whole lot of people I don't follow back because they have more personal in their game than they do business. It's like, how does this relate? I don't care. And I'm like you, I'm not a fan of the small talk. I tell my husband, sound like tiny talk. I don't do that. I don't even like talking to him. You tell me about the weather one more time, I promise you, there's going to be some consequences and repercussions. Stop. And if he can hear me, I promise you, he's going to stick his head in his door and say something smart ass about the weather. But I am not that person.
Introducing Branding, Boundaries, and Bullshit by the one and only Brandma, Phyllis Williams-Strother. Hey, you there. Are you tired of all the boring personal branding stuff? Well, my mom, Brandma, has got you covered with her awesome new book. In this game changer, Brandma doesn't play by the rules. She's a rebel who says you don't have to fake it to make it. No more being a people pleaser, because it's time to get real. Look, my mom's been there, done that, just like Pitbull, except she was a multi-million-dollar restaurant owner. She's got all the stuff to let you know what's real and what's just okie doke. This book isn't for the corporate crazy. It's for the courageous, the genuine, and the unapologetic. It's about putting you first and not some fake customer pleasing it, because this is not the circus. Branding boundaries and bullshit is like a fist pump to those who refuse to conform. It's your map to discovering your YO uniqueness and owning it. So ditch the BS and start branding on your own terms. Get Brandma's book now and let your true self shine through.
Side note, sorry, I know you said we weren't going to get personal with this, but I have to say, Uncle Neil's voice. What? Like, what? So the business that I started running from my kitchen table was an animated communications company. So I created animated video for corporate companies to do a lot of internal communications, some external. So I worked with voiceover artists quite a bit. I don't know when that guy was there. I'd have been like, booked, and booked again. Wowzers.
I'm pretty sure he knows that. We just recently, we started doing a podcast together. That's as close as we're getting to working together again. And it's called Just Trying to Stay Married Today. But even in that, when we recorded one of the episodes, I said, let me be very clear. Phyllis is not a brand. I am not trying to build a brand over here. I'm having fun with my husband creating content.
Yeah.
So if you care about branding, I don't even mention my business, but don't come over here because my husband put on our screens. It's like Big Daddy and Foxy Brown. That's what he put on the screen. I dare you to walk up and call me Foxy Brown. It's going to be some furniture moving. You do not get to call me that. Only he calls me that. So I'm very clear in that this is personal over here. And it's not even all the way personal. This is husband and wife personal.
Yeah.
It's not mother-daughter personal. It's not Phyllis personal. This is husband and wife having fun, doing some shit. That's it.
Yeah. And it's completely compartmentalized.
Yes.
From everything else. And that is perfect. That's
and
exactly.
I'm not even, he's producing it. He's putting it on his side of the YouTube world and all. It doesn't come over here in Brandma's world because I don't want people to get that familiar. One of the reasons why I don't share my daughter a lot of times, because I don't want you walking up thinking, you're grandma's mother or daughter. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Because I tell people, I am one crazy person away from having my own lifetime special. Don't come with my child.
I love that. Listen, I will be doing time with you as well. Like I'm that person as well.
But I think people need their personal life back.
Yeah.
I think they need to stop shoving a camera in their face for everything.
Yeah.
I tell people, I don't need to see your toes and toes, because seeing what you eat and you with your feet in the sand or in the pool or in the grass, and it's like, seriously, why is this even relevant? Are you that fucking bored and you have no friends to go talk to that this is a thing? Yeah. If it's something that you enjoy, I am not hating on that part. But why are we watching? What? No, I'm not scrolling anymore.
Just on that note, sorry to cut you.
No, go ahead.
Like, are you bored? And I don't think it has anything to do with boredom. I think we now measure our self-worth by our engagement on social media, right? And so you don't feel worthy unless somebody's liked the picture of you with your hot dog legs out on the beach, right? You need that now. There's that level of connection to digital where it's very difficult to switch off and say, my identity isn't here online. I am a whole person off of Instagram, and I can be a whole person with a spectrum of emotions as well. I can live, one day I can be happy and one day I can be sad, and that can be perfectly okay. I'm still a whole person. And I think a lot of people have sort of disconnected from reality in that sense, because everything that they work towards, everything has to be validated online. It has to be seen. I taught even my family members, I'm not on social media, but even my mom will say, hey, did you see the thing I posted on Facebook? No, mom, no, I didn't. No, because I'm not on Facebook. She's like, I posted it, it got 17 likes. And I'm like, lady, get off of Facebook. And it's really like, there's no, and you see it, I see it like I get together with my family and everyone's scrolling and I'm like, can we stop? Like, what are we looking for here? And I think that's what it is. I think it's just now there's this addiction to feeling like they belong somewhere, and B, they're worthy of having the life that they have. They see all of the flossy and the glossy, and they're like, well, my life ain't like that. So therefore, you know, I must be doing something wrong to feel the way that I feel. I must be, you know, I'm screwing this up. And it just perpetuates, and you know, we end up in this echo chamber of mental health issues and all sorts, because everybody's just so connected. And I feel great that actually when it comes to social media, I'm like, nope, you know, I don't, my worth has absolutely nothing to do with how many people like my post.
Yeah.
Nothing to do whatsoever.
Yeah.
And so that I think is the challenge we have these days. You know, I work with a client who, at the moment, I'm trying to wean her off of social, in a sense, whereby she's been posting for years stuff that gets high engagement, but has nothing to do with the business that she runs. And so her thing is, but if I stop posting about that, people won't like it. And I'm like, but you came to me to ask me to help you to get more clients. So we need to start posting about the thing that you do. Yeah, not more likes. Likes aren't going to pay the mortgage. Like, what are we doing? And it's really difficult for her to separate that. For if I say to her, post something, you know, it doesn't have to be professional. We can post it with your personality, but let's talk about the thing that you do, that you enjoy doing. You know, the business that you run. Let's talk about that. And she's like, oh, it's just not going to get as many likes. And I'm like, it won't. Of course it won't. But the people who like it are the ones who are going to buy from you. So can we start this conversation? It's really,
It's hard.
It's a struggle right now.
It's hard.
Yeah.
I have a similar client, and it's like, we've been working together for a few months, and getting him to understand, it's like, sweetie, let's see your personality. Because what he does, and he's an older gentleman, sweet, he's my bratty brand baby, and he knows it and he owns it. But it's getting comfortable with this mindset shift, because part of when you're doing this whole thing with personal branding, you have to shift your mind in that you're trying to train your clients in how to come at you. And that's a big thing. It's like, if you don't tell them that it's going to cost $20,000 at some point, and I'm not saying, oh, if you call me, it's going to be, I'm not talking about that. But if you don't somehow, if you know your pricing strategy and structure is a certain way, if you're not talking about those things in your social media, you're going to get the $100 clients calling you. It's like, well, do you offer discounts? Do you have it? No, I don't have those things. But if you start to talk about this thing, and like I said, I like doing content because I like running my mouth. That's the big ass thing for me. I like running my mouth. I don't know what it is, but I don't like people looking at me.
I love your content, so I'm all for it.
But there's this thing of when you're doing social media for marketing purposes, I have no personal stuff. Even I'm trying to stop myself from turning my Facebook into business stuff, because that's about the only place where I can engage with friends and family, that because I left the state that I used to live in. But even if you're going to do this thing and you're talking about, like you said, you're talking about consultants. If you're a consultant and you're putting out content and you're saying, you know what, this is my process. And you have to say this multiple times, not in the same way, don't bore the fuck out of people, but you continuously talk about your process in different ways, whether you're talking about a client, whether you're talking about a new interjection is not even a fucking word. It's a new injection of something into your process. But there's all these different things that you constantly talk about with your brand and your business that get people to know this is what she does. And getting someone to get that mindset of, you know what, let's talk about this thing. Well, no, because they know me for this. I don't give a fuck what they know you for, because that's your old clients. And you said they're not paying you enough. So we need to get you some new clients. And the only way they're going to know about you is you have to start talking in a different way. I'm not asking you to change your personality. I'm not asking you to change anything about your business. But if we're going to do something about this outdated pricing, then we have to change the way you talk. And it's a big ass deal. And it's like, you know what, this is hard. You really want me to say, I've been telling them, say $10,000 on camera just once for me, just once. It took months. He finally rolled $30,000 off his tongue. I was like, you would have thought I was at a football game. I was cheering so hard. Oh my God. I was like, he said it. It's like, seriously. So now people, because you want to charge more, sweetie, you're going to have to say a new price. Because the people that have gone to you before, they're going to get sticker shock. They're just going to have to be shocked, because you're trying to roll in a new, higher paying, whatever it is, client that you want. So you got to get your mind around it so that they can get their mind around it. Until you shift your thinking, they're not going to shift theirs.
Absolutely. That's a huge piece right there. You know, the idea that you have to be wholeheartedly behind what you charge before anybody else sees it as a valuable option or something that they want to get involved in. I think, and again, money's always a difficult subject for people. Everybody's raised with different beliefs and everybody has these different ideas about it. But again, part of my brand has always been that level of transparency where you'll always know where my fees begin. So depending on the work that I do with you, yes, what you need, I'll never sell you into something you don't, because it's a waste of time for both of us. But know that if we're having a conversation, my fees start here. And you'll see that on my website. You'll see that, you'll always find that information. It drives me nuts when I get clients who say to me, oh, no, don't put the pricing on. I've been told not to put my old coach told me not to put the pricing on because you've got to get them on the phone. And once you're having a conversation with them and they see how wonderful you are, whatever number you say, they'll say yes. And I'm like, it doesn't work like that. It absolutely does not work like that. We are not here to manipulate people into working with us. Either you can help them or you cannot. Either they see that or they do not. If they do not see that, you need to work harder in explaining what that is until they see it. But that doesn't mean that you manipulate people into paying something because you've managed to as we say bamboozle exactly them. That's not how this business works. But again, our industry was founded on that. So it's what's taught now. Everybody's taught that this is how we do it. This is how sales calls go. This is how sales conversations go. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's absolutely not. And when I say to people, I'll say, well, right now, to coach with me for a quarter, it's $16,000. If you want 6 months with me, I do you a special. It's $24,000. But that's actually my old pricing. That's about to go up. And everybody's like, how? How? And it's just like, it's really easy. I stand by my pricing because I know specifically the resources I need to get immaculate results from my clients. I know what I need in place to make it work. And they should know what they need in place as well. If you don't have those resources yet, there are other options, and I can refer you to somebody who can help you at that level. And I'll always do that. I'll always refer you to somebody who can help you if I can't. And so it's really important, I think, to be 100% behind what it is that you're charging, because if you're undercharging, you're undercutting yourself. Essentially, you're not giving yourself the resources to be able to help the client the way you want to be able to or get the client results that you want to be able to get. And it means that client gets the half-assed results, and then they tell someone, I worked with Kym, but it was like meh, so I probably wouldn't do it again. And it's like, no. Charge what you need to get the best results, say it with your chest, and then go and make it happen. There's no other option, absolutely no other option. But the pricing thing gets so many people. They're all flustered. How much should I charge? What do you need? What do you need to make this work? That's the number.
Yes. It's like, why are we having this conversation? And you hear it over and over. They either want to know, how much should I charge? How do I get more leads? Or how do I generate more revenue? Should I raise my prices? I don't know what your prices are, and I don't know what they have to cover. So I don't know. And then I don't even know if that's your only service, because if you're trying to make your business off of 3 different things, how much is each one producing in your business? That one's only producing 30% of your income, where this one is 50%. So what do you have left? So you still need this 20% over here. How are you going to make that money?
Yeah, but they're looking for you to tell them very specifically, you charge this, here are the guide rails, here are the training wheels, this is how it all works, this is the formula for a successful business. And the moment you turn around and say there is no formula, none whatsoever, even those coaches, those consultants, those teachers, those content creators who've told you there is a formula, there is no formula.
There's no formula.
This is one big experiment. This whole thing, we're in this big lab right now, and we are learning as we go. Every single one of us. We are learning as we go, and you should be willing and able to do that too if you want to be successful in business. It's all about trying the thing, learning from the thing, and making a decision based on what you've learned
on
from
the thing.
Right? There's no like A, B, C. Never. And I'll never, in my early days, I was part of these groups and these coaching containers, and also that told me there's a formula for this, and I'm like, I don't know if there is. And believe me, I would look for a formula because I was always a formulaic person. I like a recipe. I like things to be written, you know. While I was a creative for a very long time, I was very much, you know, I was this, what's what I'm looking for? Academic creative, I suppose you could say, because I like things a certain way. I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I'm a hell of a perfectionist. I know that, I own that. And so it was really important for me to always have things mapped out. And it was the moment I realized none of these people know what they're talking about. They're all telling me the same bullshit. None of it works. I have to go and figure this out on my own. And that's the point where everything changed for me. That's the point where, you know, business takes off. That's the point where you're like, now I see. I was blind. Now I see. Now I get it. You realize everyone's just trying to stay afloat. And it's, you know, as long as you know that, it's great. Jump in the, you know, the water's warm.
Jump in the deep end.
Yeah. Why not? But it's, you know, it's when they're looking for, and again, I have people come to me going, specifically, what should I charge and how should I charge it? And when do I say it? And when do I tell them? And I'm like, none of that matters. That's all arbitrary. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Keep your focus on the client work, the client transformation, and make sure you have the resources to make that happen. That's all you, that's your job right now. That's all you need to do.
Then, and I'm telling you, you are so preaching to the choir right now, because I cannot find a flaw in anything that you said. Getting people to understand, it's like, well, I want to do it like them, but why? What works for them does not necessarily work for you.
Absolutely.
So why? And if, well, they charge $1,000, okay, do you know why they're charging $1,000? Do you know if they sat down and did the math? Do you know if they're undercutting themselves? Like you said, why do you want to charge what they charge? Do you have the same level of experience? Do you have the same level of education? Can you say all the words that are supposed to come out of your mouth?
It's that, right? It is that. It's sometimes it's even down to that, like that level of confident articulation. Can you even articulate what it is that you do? Yeah. So people can understand and weigh up whether or not they want to pay you to do it. Yeah. Most people can't, you know, and it's like, let's start there. Shall we?
It's like, but that's going to take a long time. Yes. I don't care how many people you listen to. Yes, I read Alex Hormozy. Yes, I know about the offer you can't say no to and all that kind of stuff. But sweetie, regardless, nobody knows who the fuck you are. So they're not checking for your offer. Yeah. Me and my husband are, like I said, we're doing this whole podcast thing, and we were sitting here debating. I was taping it yesterday, like talking about trying to stay married today. Look at this shit. But we're going round and round, and it's like, well, he was talking about he was using Pat Flynn for his reference. Okay. I'm like, but Pat Flynn already has an audience, so him telling you what to do now based on what he didn't do originally, because he told you what he did, but now he's saying, I think this is the best way to do it. Why? How many people tried it out? Who told you that was the best way? Why is this a thing? Right. And we had a discussion about, you know, whoever says no wins. I said, you know, we're going to do it your way. No ain't going to win today. We're going to do what the fuck you said, because you are the producer of this. And I'm going to sit my ass down, because I ain't got to edit it. I ain't got to touch it. All I got to do is show up on camera and do the damn thing. True. Kill yourself out. I'm done.
You know, that's just what it is, isn't it? You know, we look towards those we think who are, you know, successful and have achieved this thing, but they've achieved it their way. It's not your way. Yeah. One of the things I come up against quite a lot with clients is they'll come to me after having come through other coaching programs, not necessarily achieving anything with other coaches, but they'll bring the baggage, right? They'll bring what that other coach taught them. So I have to kind of undo quite a bit. And it always starts with, well, this is my lead magnet, and then they're funneled in via 5 emails this way, and then we have this conversation, then I get them into my workshop, and then I da-da-da-da, and then it's the group thing, and then I da-da, and then eventually it's private coaching. And I'm like, but why? Does that serve what it is you're trying to create here? Does that make sense for the audience you want to? And the whole thing is, it doesn't matter, because that's how you do things, right? Lead magnet, get an email address, make sure they've got something downloadable. Like that alone, for me, the lead magnet drives me up the wall. I understand how that worked in 2010, right? Nowadays, people are, what I hear so much from coaches is, just as long as you have a free PDF, they'll give you their email address. That's all you need to do. Don't worry about what's in it. Just make sure it's free. Make it look good. bonus points. And it's like, an email address nowadays is so valuable. People are not handing over email addresses anymore. That's not what they do, because their inbox is becoming more and more sacred.
Yeah.
And so they're considered about who it is that they give this email to. Now, if they decide, you know what, I'm going to give you my email address, and they click download, and the thing that comes out the other end isn't absolutely spectacular, you've lost everything.
Everything.
There's no going back from that. You absolutely need to make whatever that downloadable thing is transformational at that level before we start having conversations about anything else. So if you're going to have a lead magnet, no, I don't want your fucking checklist. I don't, like, it doesn't help me. It doesn't help anyone. Just because you've PDF'd it and done it up on Canva, it's not valuable. It is not valuable. I don't care what your coach has told you. This is digital landfill. That's what this is, right? Who wants this? And so there's all of these people who are, starting to build these businesses, especially, again, coaching, consulting, advisory-based businesses, where the model is get the email address, take them on a funnel journey from there. They're all falling at the first hurdle because nobody understands how to create value in the first instance. No one gets it. And I'm like, stop giving out this ridiculous stuff. Like, think about what this is. This represents you. You're going to let people down, and they've paid you for it. Yes, not financially, but with an email address. And man, I'm telling you, an email address is really valuable these days. So don't take it for granted, and don't think your clients are idiots, because they are not. They see this for exactly what it is. So let's do this thing properly.
Y'all just heard the sermon.
Can I
get an amen? Can I get an amen?
Let me just take a breath.
Take a breath.
Right now. I've got so much of that in me. Honestly, I have. And I don't get to talk to many people about it. I think that's what it is. There aren't many people who understand this side of this corner of coaching and this sort of industry. So
I get all of it, because the thing that is most important, that I don't care what price you give it, it's the value that matters. And that's what, like you said, when you're talking about the dance instructor saying separate the two, separating the price from the value, it's a necessity, because the price is just a number. It's the value that's most important. And while I won't necessarily take on a client who can't afford me, but they will scrounge up the money, that's not what I'm about. But yes, I will say no to some of those people. I'm not going to say all, because some of them have the drive to do it. But then if you're going to have someone pay and you're going to offer all this value, if they're not taking action on the value, are they still getting their money's worth?
It's unreal. It really is. It blows my mind, the lack of consideration that exists in this industry, because someone somewhere told you that so long as you build this stuff out, in fact, even worse now, you don't even need to build it anymore, do you? You can have it like white labeled or whatever. So you can take something existing, pass it off as your own, stick your name on it, and now this is your content, and don't worry, you'll make millions.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like this thing's a whole mess. And I understand that I don't know if it'll ever unravel itself, but what I do know is by holding fast and holding, standing hard in my corner, to keep pushing for this idea of transformation over information. We don't need any more information. We need action. We need to get this done. I don't want you reading anymore. I need you to do it. I don't want you watching it anymore. I need you to get in there and experience it yourself. That is the only way we move forward. And I understand for a lot of people, that's, arresting to hear, but it's the only way. It's the only way I can coach.
Yeah.
So when people come to me, and again, going back to this idea of personal brand, this is what I'm known for. And interestingly, this was what I was known for back in entertainment as well. I had a very similar way of working. So it's kind of come full circle again, in that unless you are going to go in with both sleeves rolled up and you're ready to get really dirty at the moment, I can't work with you.
Yeah.
I really can't. We can't do this fairy tale stuff. This isn't how business is done. We're going to get down and we're going to do this properly. And if you don't like the messy middle, I don't know, go pay somebody else, go pay some, I don't know, fabulous Insta.
Some influencer.
Miss, I can't, I absolutely can't. Fempreneur, I can't do it. Fempreneur, mumpreneur,
Oh, God.
Fempreneur. Like,
It's crazy. It is crazy. It's a wild, wild west out there.
it is.
It's that's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. And the more clients I get and get through, because and like you said, you have a 6 months package and all of that. I don't package mine that way because I don't ever want to get to the point of it's like, okay, you need to work with me for 9 months to a year in order to get all of this unpacked.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
you pay month to month because if your ass is ready to go, you are more than welcome to leave. When
Yes.
people ask for a satisfaction guarantee, sweetie, if you're not satisfied, don't come back next month.
Right.
And I do that because I don't want to get to the point of I have to sue you for my money.
Right.
This
Yeah.
this is saving me a headache.
Yeah.
And you cannot sue me because I gave you all of that you've already paid for this, you've already got it, whether you use it or not. I can't help you.
Yeah.
I can only tell you this is how you should take action once we go through all of this. But if you decide not to come back next month, sweetie, you can't come back until I have another opening. You
Right.
can't come back and more than likely, I don't want you back.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm okay with that.
Yes.
But because I don't want to go, I'm not going to small claims court. I'm not hunting you down. I'm not calling, asking, where's my money? I got my money before we started this.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's under, and like I said, this is all about your level of bandwidth. Well,
Mhm.
they said that I should do, then why are you calling me if they already told you what to do?
Right.
I don't get that. Why are you calling me? Well, I
Right.
thought you can, okay, if you want my help, then you need to listen.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a big thing. It's like, sweetie, if you Googled your ass off, if you like my husband and you went down 500 reviews and all of them said this, 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 and this, why are you calling me?
Yeah.
If you think you can get by on tips, tricks, and hacks, again, why are you calling me? I don't have
Amen.
any tips and tricks. I
Right.
got work.
Yes. I got a shovel. Let's go. Yeah. Yes, that is exactly it. Exactly it. And interestingly, I love that way, that month to month idea for me, I think is something I will eventually get to. What I'm finding is the clients that are coming to me now have a very specific point in the journey where I know we are going to need either 3 months or 6 months to unpack this because I've seen this before. And so on average, this is how long I know it's going to take me. And this is the result I've got in the past. And I can probably kind of gauge what you're going to do based on that. Though, again, it's an experiment. We'll see what happens. But the other thing about it is I originally started just doing 3-month packages because I myself didn't want any kind of exerted commitment with my clients. So I wanted to be, if this client wasn't working out, I needed a way to just say, no, we're done. 3 months. It's been 3 months already. Would you look at that? See you later. I just wanted an easy way to do that. Now, most of my clients have sort of stayed with me for about a year they need. And after that, then I will usually kind of, if they won't get out, I'll push them out. I'll say, listen, I need you to, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not falling off a cliff. I'm here if you need me. You can do this now. You don't need the corner anymore. You've got this. I've coached you well. I believe in what I've done. I know that you're confident enough for this. Get out there and do it. And so that kind of 6-month thing means that I have a point whereby they know our work ends. So show up for every call, do the work that I suggest to you, take the actions that we are recommending, get it done if you want the result. It can't be ongoing because I don't want this to take, be lower in your priorities list as time goes on. I need to be a priority. I absolutely need to be. If we have a call today, don't even tell me you're not going to show up. There's going to be war. And they know that. Like, nobody doesn't show up for calls with me, because they know that it's over. No one's ever seen me go off on anybody. Nobody actually knows what happens when you don't show up for a call with Kym, but no one wants to find out. So I just continue this. But yeah, having that kind of a sense of pressure, I think, to get the thing done. We come up with like a predetermined outcome. We say, this is what we're going to achieve together after 6 months. At that 6-month point, we'll then reassess and decide, do we need to continue, or do you have everything you need and can you go? Because my job as a coach isn't to sit there and like baby bird you. Like, I can't just keep feeding you. I need to build you to a point where I can let you go. I want to let you go. And that's my job. I understand there's again so many coaches out there who do the month-to-month thing, but not because they understand, they want that flexibility with clients. They do it because it's a regular check, right? It just keeps them friends. And again, I've had clients who come to me. She said, I had one client, she says, I've been with my last coach for 3 years. And I was like, okay, right. And how did that go? She says, I got nothing.
Wow.
The thing just kept clearing out of my bank. And I just kept thinking, you know what? Eventually I'll tell her I don't really want to coach with her anymore, but I just never got around to it. And I'm like, 3 years, she was paying a fortune. Like, I was like, yo, for
Wow.
3 years. She was like, yeah, it just, it wasn't that important. It just, the money kept clearing from my account. I was like, whatever, I'll tell her next month. I was like, no, this lady, you're going to be with me for 6 months. We're going to do this. And I want you out of here because
Yeah.
you can do this, and it just drives it again. It drives me mad that just the relaxed nature again of some people who will justify it by saying, I'm your coach, I'll be here, just pick up the phone and call me, let me know if you need anything, I'm right here. And there's thousands and thousands clearing into their account daily for some of them.
Wow.
And they're not actually helping their clients or
Not
transforming.
doing a damn thing.
Yeah. And
Wow.
again, that kind of level of that piece, the integrity piece for me is so important. It's so important. I've been burned enough myself, and I've had some coaches who have been brilliant. I've had some coaches who have been damn awful, and I mean beyond awful. But I'm very quick to say, no, don't like this one. No, I'm out. Like, this was ridiculous. This isn't what you said in the tin. I'm not paying for this. This is madness. But I'm really good at that, But I know a lot of people aren't, who'll just keep it going because they don't know how to end a relationship right like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could never have that with my clients. So I like the idea of a specific cutoff point where we can both make a decision. Like, even when I have a call with a new client and they're starting with me and we haven't worked together before, and I'll say to them, all right, what I recommend is we do this. We work together for this amount of time. This is what it's going to look like in fees. And they go, okay, all right, let's do it. And I'll go, pause. I'm gonna put the phone down now. Email me tomorrow morning. And if you want to do this, let me know. If you think otherwise overnight or whatever, that's fine too, But I just want to make sure you understand what's happening here. And, before you jump in and say yes, because you're hyped now, and I get that, and I have that effect on people. I can energize.
I know, right?
Before you, rather than saying yes now, sleep on it, please. Come back to me again. I'm not going anywhere. And just say, when Kym, in the next 72 hours or whatever, just say, you know what, Kym, yes. Or equally, actually, Kym, I've thought about it and no. Both answers work perfectly for me.
Yeah.
That's great. And so I'll never, ever, like, again, going against all the rules of sales where they say, as soon as they say yes, get those credit card details. No, absolutely not. I push my clients. I'll be like, you come to me when you're ready to say yes, and when you're ready to mail the check, and I'll let you know, it's fine. There isn't oh, great, you said yes, fantastic, what's your card number? I can't do that.
You know what comes to mind when you say that? What I've noticed with my clients recently, the men make snap decisions. The women will wait and think about it and do whatever. Or they've already decided, like, well, I've been waiting for a while and I've been checking this. And men, I heard you on a podcast. Can I work with you? I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. And then I had this one encounter with the client, and I had to go back and I checked with my husband. I said, was I sounding like a wife? Is that what he heard? Because he wasn't listening to me as his brand consultant. Was I talking? He said, no, baby, because I know your wife voice. That was not a wife. I'm like, I just have to check and see, because I know there are men who unconsciously sometimes dismiss stuff because it's coming from a woman. And I understand that. And I'm not mad about it. I get it. So it's like, okay, how do I need to change or adjust the conversation so that I make sure that you're understanding it and that you're going to take action? Right. I'm not hating on men. I love being around. I actually prefer men clients to women clients. But that's just a thing. Yeah. But it's those are the type of things you have to know about your own business. And while I can talk to all the men in the world, I still attract women. And people don't get that either. It's like, well, how do you know your audience? Is it male or female? It's both. Yeah. It's gender neutral or whatever you want to call it. But there's a level of how you're approached once you get that call. So when somebody tells you this is the script for your discovery call, do not use that script. You may have the same opening question for everyone, but once you get that answer, you should know how to lead that conversation. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm done with scripts. I'm over it. I'm like, I can't remember the last time I used a script. I have a curious conversation. I'm like, all right, tell me what's going on. What's happening? And I'll dig. And I say to everybody before I have a call with them, I'm like, my job today is to ask all the silly questions. So I'm gonna ask you a ton of silly questions today, and then we'll see where we get at the end of it. And that's all, that's all I need. And so it's even that is really interesting, because I get people saying, oh, this was really refreshing that, you didn't ask me very specifically, like, where do I see myself in 5 years? And what is the hurdle I see myself hitting when I get, I'm like, because I don't, right now, we're talking about what's happening right now. And yes, a vision for the future is important, but ultimately, tell me about you and tell me what's going on and tell me what's happening. And how did we get here today? And, tell me about you, and how this all connects. I like the human behind all of this. And that's the thing that I can connect to. The business I understand, but the business it's administrative, right? Everything in business is administrative. I help the human. So therefore I need to know the human. Yeah. So if you come at me, you can come at me with all the facts and figures you like. I'm still going to ask you a question but why?
Yep. Because my thing is like, how is this going to impact your life? Mm-hmm. And people like, but it's my business. No, how's it going to impact your life?
Yeah.
Because it's all tied together. Your life, brand, and business, as far as I'm concerned, baby, that's a connected line. So if you say you want this in your business and you want your brand to look like this, how does this impact you as a person?
Yeah.
If you do not know that, if you do not understand that, you get caught up in, like you say, there's the blurred lines, but some lines are so fucking blurry that this is where the burnout comes from, the overwhelm comes from, the anxiety, the stress. Sweetie, you let it get too fucking blurry.
Yes. Yeah.
So.
Yes.
All right, Chicky, we need to wrap this up. This has been so good. Oh my God.
Listen, I feel like forever. This is like opened, like conversations. Like I could talk to you every day, I think, for like the next year and have something new we discover.
Oh my God, yes. We will have to do this again off camera. Well, not recorded. How about that?
Yes, please.
Tell us anything you want to wrap up with. Or are you looking for clients? Are you accepting clients? Do you want to give out your email? You don't do social, but if you're going to do social, how you want to end this for you, sweetie?
If I was going to do social, you're likely to find me on LinkedIn, sparingly. Everything that I am working on is available on coachkym.com. And the thing that I am working towards now is the Coach Kym Club, which is my membership, what I like to call the Choose Your Own Adventure membership, which allows you essentially to be coached by me specifically on what your business requires, rather than going with a group and having to hit every milestone like everybody else does. It's a system that I've set up so you can essentially pop into this membership, and then you can essentially take the strategies that you need specifically for your business and implement those, and I'll be there from a distance, making sure that you are indeed making it happen. So the Coach Kym Club will be launching in March, but I'll keep everybody updated on coachkym.com, because I may be looking for a few beta members. And if I do look for beta members, then you get access not only early, but of course at a much lower price. So eyes on the prize at coachkym.com, please.
All right, honeys. Well, y'all heard it. Coach Kym got it going on. And y'all know we probably talked way too long because we started late, so I don't know how much we're over, and I really don't give a flying figs. But if you stay to the end, you know I appreciate you. So we're going to get on out of here. So 5, bullshit happens, so suck it up. 4, your voice is important, so speak up. 3, you make the world a more beautiful place, so show up. 2, life is good, so buck up. And 1, I love you and ain't a damn thing you can do about it, so shut the fuck up. Peace and hair grease, y'all. I'm out.
All right, brand babies. We appreciate you stopping by because we know you got shit to do. Just remember to subscribe on your way out and bring a friend next time. In the meantime, and in between time, stay connected with your brand mother on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. The links are in the description. And your brand mother wants you to remember that personal branding is not just personal, it's also business.